Well, hey.
Well, hey, here we go.
We'll see if we get a few more people joining in.
Yeah,
Hello,
hopefully.
Sarah. Good. We're about to go live. I'm hoping it will go live anyway. We'll find out in a moment, won't we? It should be live now on Facebook. I am just looking for
How are you finding the Facebook Live, man?
well, I'm doing it through Zoom, so it's fairly simple. Just just click it on. Tell it to do it, and as we're talking, people are now watching. So you just want to be able to hopefully see. Set up my phone so I can see what people are commenting as we go through. Easier to keep refreshing the phone than it is to keep refreshing anything else. So we're just going to wait a few minutes. If you're already tuned in, we're going to wait a few minutes to let other people join in and maybe have a few more people join in the Zoom. Gonna pass a message. Oh, good fun. Oh, got someone else joining in. Hello. So I want to know where it is the setting where you can just mute all. Oh. Anybody know? Anyone tell me?
It's part of the learning curve here, Matt.
Oh, I know. Yeah. There must be a quick, easy button.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
We can mute our own pages anyway.
You can, but I've seen people do it where they just mute everyone in one button, and I'm just wondering how the hell do you do that? Oh, you can't do that. No.
So I'm on my phone tonight. I can't even figure out how to mute myself here. Really.
Oh, there's got
it's
to
all
be
right
a
when
way
I'm on my
of doing
laptop. I can.
Someone might tell me if anyone knows how to mute all. Let me know. Send me a message. Oh, hello. Oh, no. I can mute individuals.
Maybe you have to do that.
Well, no, there is a way of muting all, and I don't know how it is, how it's done. It's probably a button I've got to press. I just can't see it.
So when sorry, go on.
Do you not just right click if you're on the laptop or computer? Do you just not right click on the screen? It'll give you an option.
No, I don't get a right click option when I right click on the screen.
Okay, what about the tabs at the top? Have we got
at the top?
Have we got all along the top of the screen? Have you got all our little screens up?
Yeah, I can see all the pictures and everything.
Can you right click on those?
I can click on things, but I have to mute everyone individually. But there must be a way of muting everyone. I need to Google it. We're live at the moment, so this is real. So bear with me.
This is actually happening, folks.
Yeah. How to mute all on Zoom, as no one's jumped in and let me know yet. But
I guess none of us know.
No, that's it. It's one of those things I've never had to do before. Click mute all. How do you do that? It just tells you to click mute all.
Yeah. There you go then, Matt. Click mute all. Got nothing here.
It says it's under more, but all I've got under more is stop live stream. Anyway, what we're going to be talking about tonight, I might have to ask you lot to just mute yourselves in a minute, so we don't get any background interference. Oh, I can mute you, don't worry.
Okay, yeah, mute me. Yeah.
I've done it. I can mute people one at a time. Can you imagine if you've got 100 people, you can't mute them all one at a time, can you? But that's the way it is. There must be a way of doing it. I'll have to find out because I can't seem to do it on mine. Apparently there's a mute all button, but it's not showing up on mine. But anyway, what we're talking about today is low self-esteem and self-sabotage. That was requested in the poll that I did a few months, well, a month ago, I think it was now. And it is quite an interesting subject. And I delved into it a lot more. And I've got notes up on my second screen, although I'm going to pull it up underneath this one. And a lot of these two subjects actually tie in nicely to each other, which is great. And it makes sense to do them both. And we could actually do self-sabotage first, because one of the parts of self-sabotage, would you believe it, is low self-esteem. So we're going to do self-sabotage as a whole first. Now, one of the things that happens with self-sabotage, and I try not to get my words tongue-tied as I'm saying things like that, is we end up with self-destructive behaviors, and it becomes a pattern or a habit, a cycle, if you will. And one of the first things we need to do is to try and recognize that we are doing that we recognize that we get to a certain point with things, and for whatever reason we get in our own way, and we need to be able to recognize it so that we can do something about it. Now, when we have these behaviors that continually undermine our success and happiness, when we don't even recognize it, it's then very hard to do anything about it. So we first of all need to be able to sort of look back, sit back, maybe even ask for someone else's opinion of why you might always get to that same point each time. It might be with the job, work, business, life, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. And we all seem to get to a point, and then all of a sudden everything falls apart. And it's normally our subconscious that's doing it on our behalf. And our subconscious is actually just trying to protect us, to go into survival mode, whatever it does. I'm just keeping an eye out to make sure, see if anyone else joins in the Zoom. So if you see my eyes wandering around on the screen, I do apologize. So the first step is to recognize it and then try and break the cycle. And the first thing, of course, is by being aware of it, we can start analyzing that point where we self-sabotage. In some cases, we need to literally just look at what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it. But other times we need to really deep down look at what the root cause of the problem might be. And it could be from being told as a child that you'll never amount to nothing, or whatever terminology that person might use. A really negative impact on you, and your subconscious takes it in. And as you grow up, it's still there in the back of your head that you're never going to amount to anything. Okay. And so, of course, therefore, you don't deserve it. Therefore, you're not good enough. Therefore, when you get to that point where you're about to take control of a situation, grow your business, whatever it is, you self-sabotage it. Now, the self-sabotage can come in many shapes and forms. And one of the biggest ones, and I've been a fool for this myself, actually, is procrastination, where we keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And then we start going into a whole cycle of what ifs. And that's when, anxiety and stress and everything else kicks in. So we've got to just be able to look at ourselves and realize when we're procrastinating, why we're not actually just pulling our finger out and getting the job done. And then, of course, taking action. Now, if you've never read the book, The Chimp Paradox, great book. It's on audio as well. I prefer to listen rather than read. And it basically goes on about your subconscious, your lizard brain, your reptilian brain, your prehistoric brain, whatever you want to call it, he calls it his chimp. So it's his little monkey brain, his little chimp brain. And when he gets things going on, like he has a quick reaction to something and blurts out something, loses his temper quickly, it's the chimp that's acting, because it's the emotional side of our brain. Whereas with the analytical side of our brain, we'd go, hold on, breathe, take a minute, analyze that before I react. Whereas the chimp just goes straight in, full on, shouting, screaming, whatever it wants to do. And it's the same when we do procrastination. The chimp wants to keep us safe. It's part of our subconscious. It wants us to survive and be happy. So, and I found myself doing this, and I'll tell a story about that in a minute, but it just finds other things to do that are more comfortable, easier ways out. It's lazy by nature. Okay, it likes to be safe. So I found myself doing this a while ago. I had to update my books for my taxes and get it to my accountant. And I picked a morning I was going to do it. So I'd made myself a nice target to timescale myself to make myself accountable. And by 10 o'clock in the morning, I find myself doing housework and tidying up and doing bits and pieces. And then I put the kettle on to make a cup of tea. And then I went to the loo. And it was only while, sorry, there's a bit too much information, I know. It's only while I stood there having a wee that I'd realized it was like 10:15 and I still hadn't done my books. And that's when I sort of had a little bit of a chuckle to myself, realizing my chimp brain had taken over. It was finding all sorts of things to do other than sit down for an hour doing my taxes. And we need to be able to realize when we're doing that kind of procrastination, have a little bit of a laugh of it, pull your finger out, and then get the job done. And by being aware of it, then of course you can take action. So other things that we can do then that are self-sabotaging habits is when we have that little voice in our head, our little negative thinking brain, okay, always telling ourselves that we're not good enough, we don't deserve it, or everything's bad, you know, don't want to do that, it's difficult. And we keep hearing ourselves constantly criticizing ourselves. You know, that's going to be too difficult for you to do, whatever it is. So we've got to be able to realize and maybe reframe that a little bit, rather than saying that everything's bad. It might just be one thing that's bad. So we need to be able to realize that that one thing might be bad, but it's not everything. Okay, and we have much of a habit of generalization with things like that. And in our negative thinking part of our brain, we do need to make sure, so if you can mute yourself, whoever just came in there, because I can't find the mute all button. That's great. So we do need to be aware of that. Yeah, it's all good. Sorry, bit of distraction going on there. You know, when things aren't supposed to go right, they just go wrong. But it's all right. And then other people are coming in. That's great. Love it when more people are coming in. But I'm just finding it a little bit difficult to keep my notes on the screen. Anyway, what were we talking about? Negative thinking. Yes. So we need to realize that we are human, that we do have failures, and that by having failures is that we should approach it as a learning curve and look at it as a way of not doing something. Okay, I've learned how to not do something correctly. So by that means, that way of thinking, you can then look at how you can then do it correctly. A bit like Edison with his light bulb. 6,000 times he found how not to make a light bulb. And of course, after that, he made one. And we're still using, well, we've got an LED now, but we've been using them for many years. One thing I didn't realize about Edison, when he went through all these different materials to try and find the bit that would glow, the thing that lasted the longest was a strip of carbonized bamboo. There you go. Who ever knew that? Strange but true. Anyway, so another thing that we need to look at and recognize with self-sabotaging habits is perfectionism. Now, one of the greatest bits of advice I've been given about trying to grow a business, run a business and everything else is not to wait until it's perfect. If you wait until it's perfect, you'll never do it. So it's better to get something out there and improve it later. Or like when I first started doing medical acupuncture, of course, I'd only just learned how to do it. So I wasn't great at it. So I practiced and I kept on doing it and I offered it to my clients as a treatment and I kept on doing it, and I got better and better and better. But I could have just waited and said, right, no, I need to practice on people first. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get clients to pay for it. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to practice doing freebies or something. Then, of course, I would have never got the clients that I have now. And I'd probably still be practicing and not actually doing it. So you've got to just remember that perfectionism never happens. So if you've got something to do, if you need to do something, don't wait, just do it. And that's the best bit of advice I had as I was building up a business, is just put it out there. Don't worry about what people say, because you can always improve it. But as long as it's out there, you're getting yourself visible, people can see it as an option, whatever it is, then you're going to get there eventually. And of course, any criticism you get back off it isn't necessarily destructive, and you shouldn't see it as being destructive. You should see it as a way of using that information then to improve. It makes common sense when you say it out loud, but in your head, you just end up, when someone criticizes you, you're thinking how crap you are, how rubbish you are, how bad you are, why do I even bother, and all the rest of it. But we need to make sure that we use criticism to our advantage rather than our disadvantage. So there are times, of course, with all this going on and self-sabotage, that we need to make sure that we identify some deep-seated root causes, if there are some. Quite often it does stem from childhood. I remember as a child being told I was thick, stupid, never would learn anything, lazy. And it was only when I joined the military that I found out I was dyslexic. So I left school with no qualifications, hence one of the reasons why I joined the military and got qualifications while I was in the military. But if only someone had managed to sit me down and realize that actually I wasn't stupid, I was intelligent, but I was just struggling with reading and writing, then maybe, I could have amounted to something earlier. Who knows? But, so we do need to look at our deep-seated, deep-rooted problems and feelings. And sometimes we just need to look at a situation that we're in and look and analyze how it's making us feel. Because if we can identify the emotion, then we can probably identify a solution for it, whether it's fear or whatever it is, whether it's guilt, whether it feels like we're just undeserving, unworthy, whatever it is. If we can identify the emotion that comes with it, then we can reframe it and start building on it, building our confidence, changing our wording, changing our negative thinking, and just keep building on it, building on it, building on it, so that we can improve. One of the things I mentioned, the monkey brain and the chimp brain, is that our subconscious likes to keep us safe. So quite often when we come to a crossroads, a fork in the road, whatever you want to call it, a barrier, it's very easy to just slip back and think, well, that's too difficult. Keep in our comfort zone, stay safe, because that way we can't fail. If we don't try, we can't fail. So it's very often that we'll just keep in our comfort zone, keep safe. It's nice, it's easy. Why not? But of course, you're never going to challenge yourself. You're never going to move beyond that barrier that gets in the way. So identifying it is the key. Time for self-reflection. When you get stuck. Now, some people might think you're procrastinating. I like to call it proactive procrastination. It's one I've made up myself. I've never seen anyone else use it. And all it is that rather than just jumping in feet first, if there is that barrier in the way, you need to sometimes just sit back and go, right, I'm not going to just head straight on like a bull in a china shop. I need to work out what the problem is. What is the problem? Because by identifying the problem, and you don't want to just dwell on the problem, identify the problem, think about it for about 60 seconds, and then move on, go into a solution-based thought pattern. And as long as you stick to focusing on your problem for no more than 60 seconds, you won't get those high stress levels of cortisol and etc. That's just going to make you feel crap and just get you into a whole stressful situation. So if you get a problem, focus on it for about 60 seconds, analyze it in that 60 seconds, and then go into a solution-based thought process where we're going to look at this problem, but how we can find a solution for it. So obviously the problem's still in the middle, but we can start identifying solutions. And it might be that you sit and find 20 solutions that don't work before you find the one that will work. And that's when I'm having my proactive procrastination, when I'm in that thought process of just thinking, right, I have a problem, I'm not going to dive straight in, I need to procrastinate on it, think about it, analyze it, find a solution for it, and just keep going. And it's not just me, there's a lot of people out there who do think like that as well. And they're the kind of people that will always seem to never seem to have a problem, because they're always thinking of a solution. And if you're always thinking of a solution, then you're not focusing on the problem. Great. And that's, of course, great for things like anxiety as well. If you've got something that you're anxious and worried about, identify the problem, think about it for 60 seconds or so, and then jump into, right, how can I fix this problem? What can I do? Who can help me? Whatever it is. And of course, you should never be too frightened or embarrassed to ask for help. So when you're having that period of self-reflection, one of the things we've got to do is look at our negative thoughts and try and find the positive thoughts to go along with it. Not necessarily to just cancel it out, but just to build our confidence and go around it, that barrier of negative thinking. We need to go around it, over it, under it, whatever we need to do, and start giving ourselves positive things to think about. Otherwise, we just end up going downward spiral into depression or something, and we don't want that. So do find your positive inner voice. Give yourself a pat on the back whenever you do something good. And it may be that you've had a great day at work, but one thing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon ruins your whole day. But what about the 6-7 hours beforehand where you had a great day at work? all you're going to think about that evening is probably the shit bit of, excuse my French, that horrible bit that happened at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's the thing you go home thinking about. But if you can just think about, well, what happened this morning? Well, I had a great morning. It was really productive, got loads done, had some great ideas, whatever it is. And you can start focusing on those and building on those, because the little thing that went wrong at 4 o'clock is probably not that big a deal. And it's probably nothing that you can't fix the next morning or haven't fixed already anyway. So don't overanalyze stuff. Think about it for 60 seconds and then go into a solution-based thought pattern. One of the big things with self-sabotage is fear. Excuse me a minute, have another drink of water. If anybody's got any ideas, anyone's got any questions, then please do jump in and ask, because we like people who like to ask questions. And comments. Yes, like comments too. And I'm trying to look on my Facebook page here to see notifications, because my phone's just died. It's always the way, isn't it? So I'm going back into the group and hopefully see it, because someone has put some comments in and I can't find it. Here we go. All right, yes. I'm just going to go through the comments before we go into the fear stuff. A couple of people saying hello. Aaron Spice. Hello, mate. Didn't know I was dyslexic. There you go. Oh, you didn't know you were dyslexic till a few years ago. It's mad, isn't it? You can go most of your life. You just find, as young children learning how to cope with dyslexia, and I was one of them, you actually learn how to deal with it, to not necessarily hide it, but to cope with it best you can. You find coping strategies. Andy Hedden as well. Erin out in the States. G'day. That sounds like you're Australian, but don't worry about it. Someone's saying going into the participants list, they might find an option to mute everyone. I'll have a look later. But thank you, Jess. Love it. Got a solution. Never too scared to ask. So we're going to go into fear now. One of the big things that our chimp brain doesn't like is anything that puts us into a fear mode. So it's going to avoid it. So fear of failure is a big one with anything. You might have a great idea. You might have great plans, whatever it is. But if it means going out of your comfort zone, or not knowing 100% sure if you're going to actually succeed at that task, or whatever it is, we quite often go into fear mode, and therefore we just won't put our all in. We won't put 100% in, because if we put 100% in and we fail, then we really do feel like a failure. But if we put 50% in and fail, well, it's all right. It doesn't matter, because I didn't really put so much effort in that I could have done. But of course, it's always better to try and fail than it is to fail to try. So we need to just make sure that we, maybe some proactive procrastination beforehand, set a plan, get it going, and then just go for it. And of course, you can ask for help along the way. So fear is a big driver into reasons why we don't do stuff. That fear of embarrassment, that fear of people laughing at you, that fear, oh gosh, there's so many of them. That fear of the discomfort that this thing is going to give you, whatever you're going to do. That fear of the hardship, whatever it is. Fear is a big one that will stop you moving forward in whatever mission in life that you have. So recognize it, analyze it, then come up with a solution around it. Now, it might be that you have to confront your fear head on. Okay. It might be that you can use reframing tools. That's something I certainly do. I'm doing hypnosis, hypnotherapy work, is a bit of reframing, where we look at it from a different angle. And it might be that you just need to go and ask someone and say, well, this is worrying me. You might not want to use the word scared, but you might be, I'm scared to take the next step, because I don't know if it's going to work or whatever. And then say, well, tell someone your idea or whatever it is, and then ask for some feedback. And they might go, no, don't be stupid. You'll be able to do that. No problem. I have full faith in you, whatever it is. And of course, that's going to boost your confidence, maybe just to get on with it and get past that barrier, that sticking point that's been getting in your way. So always ask for someone else's opinion, or reframe it yourself if you know how to. There's plenty of stuff on the information on the internet. Maybe it's something I can do in the future. Plenty of stuff on the internet, though, about reframing your thoughts. So what we need to do then, once we've got that barrier and we've recognized it and we've sort of tried to work around it, and we need to make up a plan, basically. So we've got our dream, okay? We've got our goal. Then we need to make a plan. And no plan is any good unless we actually take action with it. Now, to put all that together, what we need to do is a series of small steps, of course, to get us to where our goal is. And something that a lot of you heard, and if any, there's a few of you who are ex-military or military right now, smart targets. I think there's even in civilian big businesses or businesses nowadays, smart targets. And SMART being an anagram. I think that's the right word. No, not an anagram. It's the other one. That'll come to me in a minute. Mnemonic, whatever it is. First letter of each word, or the letters make up the first letter of each word that it stands for. So SMART, S, specific. You want a specific goal or target that you want to achieve. It needs to be measurable, okay? And it might be something that you think initially can't be measurable, or it might just be that getting it done is the thing. That's the only way you can measure it. But of course, a lot of things can be measured, whatever it is, and you need to find a way of just measuring it. It might just be that you've got to tick the box. It needs to be achievable. You don't want to make such a big goal that when you look at it, or a big task that when you look at it, again, that chimp brain starts messing you about and going, oh, I don't want to do that. That takes too long. A bit like my taxes. It was going to be at least an hour's work, and my chimp didn't want to go and do that. It's boring, it's hard, it's difficult, don't want to do it. So make sure it is a nice, small, achievable target. And that way you just start chipping away at whatever it is you're trying to get to do. And eventually you'll get it done. It's got to be a realistic target. You don't want to make it unachievable, or like say it's got to be perfect before I launch it, or whatever it is before I do it. So do make sure that it is realistic target. There's no point me saying, right, I'm going on holiday in 3 months' time. I want to lose 4 stone in weight, because the chances are you won't. But if you decide you want to lose £1 each week between now and then, you probably will. So make it a realistic target, nice and small, achievable, okay? And of course, what you want to do with any target is set a time limit on it, okay? That's what the T stands for, time. Time limited or time achievable, or whatever you want to call it. So set a time for it. I want to do this by Friday next week. I had my set target for my taxes. I had to do them that morning. So with clients coming in at lunchtime, I had to make sure I finished it by 12 o'clock. So when I was having a wee at 10:15 and realizing I still hadn't done it, I had to just get on with it. All right. And I didn't want to put it off. Not that I was particularly time constrained. If I didn't do it, I could have done it another day, but I'd set my target and I was going to stick to it. Okay. So that's quite a lot of information we've covered on self-sabotage. And I suppose the biggest takeaway from it is to start to identify it when you're doing it, recognize you're doing it, and then analyzing it. And then, of course, all the other bits and tips that I've just mentioned. So what we're going to move on to next is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is probably one of the biggest problems with self-sabotage. It's that confidence issue, okay? That fear, whatever you want to call it. So the low self-esteem thing, it's a kicker. And of course, low self-esteem can affect us in many ways in life. Again, it could be a deep-rooted thought pattern from childhood, being told you're not good enough, from a long-standing partner who maybe have been a bit of a narcissist and keeps putting you down to make themselves feel better. Could be bullying at school, bullying at work, whatever. It's going to knock your confidence. It's going to make your self-esteem diminish and reduce and make you just feel shit, really. Oh, here we go. I'm swearing again. I do apologize. Can't help it. 22 years in the Irish Regiment. It does that to you. All right. So that low self-esteem is a bit of a kicker. And you just get that voice in your head just telling you you're not good enough for whatever reason. And quite often we do generalize about those words in our head, those thought patterns. They are very much generalized words that we're rubbish. Well, you're not rubbish all the time. In fact, a lot of the time, you're not rubbish at all. So why you keep telling yourself you're rubbish? And again, as we mentioned earlier, is to try and identify the positives, recognize those positive thought patterns, put that positive voice in your head instead. And the more you practice at putting that positive voice in your head, the less the negative voice gets a word in. So just practice that each day. Practice positive thinking. Being grateful in the mornings, just starts you off on a great positive outlook of your day. And if you are going to practice gratefulness, as they love to call it, don't just think about, for example, I'm grateful for my wife, and then stop, because that doesn't actually make you feel anything. It's just an observation. It's just a word. It's a sentence. It doesn't mean anything. But if I was to say, I'm grateful for my wife because she supports me in my business, she supports me in my home life, she's a great person to talk to, we love doing things at the weekends, that just makes the whole package feel so much better and lifts my self-esteem, lifts my feelings, gives me a nice little bit of an endorphin rush. And if I've thought about half a dozen things in the morning that I should be grateful for, then the whole day is going to look brighter before I've even opened the curtains. So it's a great way to start the day if you ever want to try it. So gratefulness, brilliant. Have a go at it every day. Set your watch, set your alarm, remind yourself to do it. So when you find yourself constantly worrying and just looking at yourself and telling yourself you're not good enough, the things we need to look out for then is those words in our health that can be really harsh to ourselves. The self-hatred. You know, it might be whether it's because you don't like your body, it might be the way that you look or whatever. But if you keep telling yourself exactly what you think of yourself, you're just going to be living in a whole world of negativity. That again will probably result in depression. And of course, depression just means you end up with the doctors, end up on tablets, and a spiral effect of every time you come off the tablets, you go back into depression. So keep away from depression as much as you can. Keep away from that self-hatred. Keep away from that negative voice in your head. Keep away from using generalizations. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times generalizations already, but those generalizations where everyone at work hates me, or whatever words you want to use like that. And well, probably not everyone at work hates you. There are probably people at work you don't know, never really talk to. So how could you know if they like you or not? It could be that all my friends must talk behind my back. Well, probably not. Again, you're using such a wide generalization. You know, the whole world's against me. Wow, Mr. Wing Wong, whoever in China, doesn't even know you. So how's he going to be against you? You know, that was probably a bit of a generalization, but there you go. But don't worry, because not everyone knows you, so everyone can't hate you. But there's always going to be people in your life, people who love you. And it's focusing on those people in your life, those people that make you feel good, and those people are the ones you need to spend energy and time with, rather than the people that make you feel bad. We've already mentioned about perfectionism. Nothing is perfect, so don't try and be perfect. Just do your best. Oversensitivity, that's another one in with the old low self-esteem. It's very easy if someone says something to just immediately allow your chimp brain to dive in. And I'll give you an example of this. If you imagine you've just walked into the office at work and someone goes, "Oh, you look tired," you're going to take it one of two ways. It might be you take it that you look really rough and horrible, or it might be that actually you do look a bit tired and they're showing concern. They're worried about you because they care about you. Which one's going to make you feel better? So it's just a matter of maybe not letting that chimp brain dive in and just accuse whoever it is of giving you a compliment of actually not giving you a compliment. And it sometimes just maybe just take a sit back or take a step back and just think, hold on, what do they actually mean by that? Or what could they mean by that? Maybe it's not what I'm first initially thinking. And it's a good thing to just keep your oversensitivity in check. Sometimes, though, of course, people do say things which are hurtful, and that's when you need to stand up for yourself. And sometimes standing up for yourself can be really difficult. But once you've done it once, it gets so much easier. And of course, when you've set those boundaries with people, life becomes easier because people will stop overstepping the boundary. And the only person who can put that boundary up is you. So you need to take action. Other things that we need to do then, we need to forgive ourselves for our mistakes. We are only human. And any mistakes we make, we need to approach it with a learning mentality. How can I learn from this? Not so much as what's the positive outcome of this, because sometimes there aren't any. But if we've made a mistake and we've messed up, and we just need to look at how did I mess up? What could I have done differently? What am I going to do next time? So always leave yourself with the positive end of it. What am I going to do next time? What am I going to do different next time? So that when you come to that situation again, you're ready for it because you've already got that plan in your head. You've already talked it over with yourself. You're ready to take action. We've already mentioned about setting realistic expectations of yourself when you're doing SMART targets, but sometimes we just need to do it within ourselves. Set our realistic expectations. You know, I'm not going to go and learn how to be a pilot in 3 or 4 lessons. It's going to take a lot longer than that. I might want to take 3 or 4 lessons, but let's be honest, you know, learning to be a pilot is a little bit difficult. It takes hours, it takes time, and it takes a lot of focus, because there's exams as well as just getting behind the joystick. I had to think of the word then. I was going to say steering wheel. That's not right. Anyone would think I'd never been in the Air Force. But, you know, so being able to fly, I'm not going to be able to learn it in 3 or 4 lessons. So I've got to give myself a really realistic expectation, because if I do come short of it, then I'm going to just kick myself down even further and probably never get to be a pilot. Not that I have any aspirations to be a pilot, just to let you know. So, so we do need to give ourselves realistic expectations. Not all of us are capable of achieving great things in certain areas. We all have great points in our life. We all have great things that we can do. But I am never going to run a 5-minute mile. Even when I was super fit, I'd never run a 5-minute mile. Just under 6 minutes was the best time I ever did. But, you know, I'm certainly not going to be able to do it now. So if I wanted to start taking up running again, you know, I'd probably have to start with a couch to 5K, not go out and just run a 5-minute mile. So, you know, we've got to give ourselves realistic expectations. So if we can plan it, we've got a better chance of achieving it by taking the right kind of plan, smart targets, achievable, measurable, all that good stuff, and then we can take action. We've got to accept as well the good things about ourselves. We've got to accept that we all have unique talents. Some people are great at public speaking. Some people are rubbish at it. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that maybe you need more practice. But of course, something we certainly learn in the military when we're working in small units is that we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. And as long as that all the strengths that we need are covered, the unit's going to survive, it's going to work well together. And it's the same with a team in a workplace environment, or even a family. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. I open jam jars, my wife mows the lawn. You know, that's our strengths and weaknesses. That's about my only strength, by the way, opening jam jars. So, you know, we have to work as a team. We have our strengths and weaknesses. We need to fill the void where the weaknesses are. Sometimes we need to come together and do things together, because on our own we can't do it. So recognizing our strengths and weaknesses, not only in ourselves, but others, you know, we're going to get along a lot better. We're going to work as a team. And as human beings, we are programmed on a genetic level to work in teams. By being in a tribe, by being in a group, we've got a much better chance of survival, because different parts of the group will have strengths and different weaknesses. So we've got a much better chance of survival. Ooh. It's an acronym. Thank you very much. Couldn't remember earlier. It's great. Just checking my messages again. Do apologize. So, other things we need to do then. We talked about forgiveness, forgiving ourselves when we can't, you know, we don't succeed or whatever, when we make mistakes. We've talked about realistic expectations. Failing doesn't make you a failure. It's how you mentally approach it. Failing for me is just proving to myself a way that I shouldn't do something, and try a different way of doing it. Go into that mindset of solution and get on with it. One of the big things, now this is going to be, I'm sure a lot of people are going to align with this, is comparing yourself to others. Whoa, yeah, we all do it. We all do it. And it's probably one of the worst things we can do for our self-esteem, okay, is comparing ourselves to others. Now, you can compare yourself to others, and I do compare myself to others, but I reframe it for myself. I compare myself to the people I want to be like. And then when I'm comparing myself to them, I can look at what they're doing and try and emulate what they're doing. Okay, so if I'm looking at what they're doing and how they're doing it, then of course I can then reproduce that hopefully in myself and make myself better. But what we don't want to be doing is unrealistic comparisons. You know, I am never going to have an Adonis-like body. I know it's not far off, but it's not quite there. And so I'm never going to have that Adonis type body. It's not in my genes. Even well, there's too much of it in my genes, actually, all around the waist. But you know, I'm not going to have an Adonis type body. Even when I was super fit, when I first joined the military, running just under 6 minute miles, I would never get a six pack. I would do hundreds of thousands of sit-ups in a week and never get a six pack. Genetically, I was never going to get a six pack. And that's just the way it was. I had to accept that and to move on. I still kept myself very fit at the time, but I stopped focusing on having a six pack because there was just no point to it. I was never going to get there. Not without getting really unhealthily underweight. And that would be no good at all. Another thing we need to make sure we don't do is don't sweat the small stuff. We can write stuff down. There's something I use is the action circle. And basically the action circle looks a bit like an RAF roundel. So you've got a big circle and a small circle in the middle. Now, the small circle in the middle is you put the things in that you want to focus on, the things that you can take action on, the things you can do something about. The stuff around the outside is all the stuff that I can't actually affect, I can't actually do anything about, and I might as well just ignore it then. So the stuff in the middle, that's where I'm going to focus on, things I can actually take action on, things that I can actually work with, things that I can actually make a change with. So that way, the stuff around the outside, you can forget about it. And when it comes to the small stuff, sometimes we do worry about the most trivial things. And sometimes even in a relationship, we might argue about the most trivial thing. And you look back the next day and you're like, how the hell did that go so far in an argument? Talking about who had the remote control. Really? First world problems, eh? So don't sweat the small stuff. All right. And one of the ways we can improve ourselves as individuals is when we're in a situation, whether it be at work or in the family, is to actually focus on when we're trying to listen and listen intently, listen with focus, listen with the kind of voice in your head that you're almost saying the words as they're saying them. Don't get annoying by actually repeating everything out loud, but really focus on each individual word sentence that people are saying to you, because that way you're not going to miss stuff. Now we're all guilty of it, I'm sure. And I'm sure my wife is probably watching. Well, I don't know if she's watching this right now. She might watch it later, and she'll be like, "You never listen." But sometimes when you're in the right situation, work meetings, whatever, where you really need to be on the ball, is to really focus and listen to people, listen to what they're saying, listen to what they're not saying as well, because that might give you an insight to actually what they want to achieve or what they want to do or where they need help. So really focus on listening. Great saying, isn't it, that we have one mouth and two ears for a reason. We need to listen twice as hard as much as rather than sit talking about it or speaking. Yeah, so please do listen intently when people are trying to talk to you. Don't want to miss anything. Might be able to help someone, and of course they might return the favor. So out of all this so far, something we need to do once we've recognized these problems, once we've sort of gone through and done a deep dive into our own feelings, etc., is then to take action, be proactive. When we can start to recognize our problems, we can maybe start to foresee our problems and take proactive action against it. And of course, not everything works out. So we do need to sometimes have a little deep dive on things, a bit of self-awareness, self-analysis, whatever it is, and realize that there are times when we just need to move on, leave it behind, whether that's a situation, a person, a job, whatever it is. Sometimes we just need to move on because it's not right for us, it's toxic, whatever. And that's probably one of the hardest things that we ever do, especially if it's a relationship or something, or even a really good job. It might be really good pay, but it might not be really good for you. And so, you know, whatever it is, recognizing the problem and realizing there's no way out of it, and then realizing that, you know, I'm just gonna have to move on, leave it all behind, start afresh, give it another go in a different direction. Hard, challenging, out of your comfort zone. Your little chimp brain's going to be going bananas. So do analyze proactive procrastination, whatever you need to do before you make that step. And of course, again, as I always repeat myself over and over again, is don't be too scared to ask for help. Don't be too embarrassed to ask for help. Even if it's just a bit of advice. I'm always on the end of the phone. One thing we must realize then is if we go around at work, at home, or whatever, telling everyone how bad we are and how rubbish we are and how crap we are, eventually they're going to start to believe it. You obviously do, so why wouldn't they? So do be careful on how you project yourself, because we teach others how we want them to treat us. Big statement, but we do. If we act like a doormat, if we act like we're rubbish, if we act like we're thick, we tell everyone we're thick and stupid, then other people are going to start believing it and treat you like you're thick and stupid. So do be careful on how you project yourself and how you portray yourself. And sometimes we got to have false confidence, fake it till you make it, whatever words you want to use. Sometimes we do need to do that. We need to play the game. We need to act it out and hide those kind of negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we keep telling ourselves how bad we are, and tell everyone how brilliant we are, because they'll believe it eventually. And the reason why they'll believe it is because you'll start to believe it and you'll start to perform like you're brilliant, because you are. Simple as that. So do be careful how we portray ourselves to others and what we tell other people, because that will teach them how they're going to treat us. Fear, we talked about fear earlier. Fear leads to anxiety. Anxiety leads to stress. Anxiety and stress leads to depression. Ooh, don't do it. Snip it in the bud. Get help. Whatever you need to do, just do it. All right. When we do have fears, of course, you can get help, reframing, etc. Find ways around it. Confront your fear. Whatever you need to do. But one thing we can do as part of a reframing process is to challenge the anxiety. Actually, how bad is this? Or how bad could it really be? Is it going to be that when I get up on stage and talk to 200 people, the mic's not going to work, the sky's going to fall in, everyone's going to leave before I'm even finished? Probably not. If the mic breaks, the chances are there's a backup. Chances are with only 200 people in the room, you might be loud enough for near enough everyone to hear you anyway. And it's out of your control. So why sweat it? Just get on with it. Be fine. So is it really going to be as bad as you think it might be? Probably not. And if you ever ask someone who's got anxiety, what are you most anxious about? And they tell you about this, this, and this. And then they go and do that. And then you talk to them afterwards. And then you say, how bad was it? Well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Something we tell ourselves over and over again. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, you know, just challenge the way you're thinking, challenge that thought process, challenge your anxiety, challenge your fear. Is it really as bad as you're thinking it's going to be? Probably not. All right. So are those fears genuine or unfounded? Chances are a lot of it's unfounded, and it's just our little chimp brain trying to keep us back, keep us safe, keep us, you know, in our little comfort zone where it's nice. We like being in our comfort zone. But no, you know, you're never going to get anywhere without challenging yourself. So, well, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been quite a long, what we've been on for? 45 minutes already. Woohoo. Okay, it's been a bit of a stretch. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got some information out of it and take something away with it. Now, if anyone's got any questions, you can either, if you're on the Zoom, thank you for joining me. You can put in the comments on there, on the chat. And if anyone's got any questions on Facebook, then fire away. Now, I must remember that Facebook is about 15, 20 seconds behind the live. So if I don't reply straight away or mention your name or anything like that, then I do apologize. We'll get there. It says I've got 10 comments, but I can only see 4. Quick refresh of the screen, I think. We'll see what happens. Hey. Oh. Nope, it's not letting me see all the comments for some reason. I think Facebook's about 20 seconds behind Facebook. Nope, not getting it. So, anyone got any questions? Anyone on the Zoom want to just unmute yourself and chat? Anything at all? Anyone can see questions that I can't see on Facebook? Let me know what it is. It's an acronym. You must remember that. Now, something I'd like to share with you. I have created a course. That's a 6-week course that you can do around your normal daily stuff. So if you work full time, it's not going to impact you too much. It's called funny enough, the Anxiety and Stress Breakthrough System. Hence why I've got the Anxiety and Stress Warriors group here. And it's quite an expensive course because there's a lot in it. It's you've got worksheets, you're held accountable. If you go in with a level of 8, 9 anxiety out of 10, by the end of it, it should be 0. There should be no anxiety and stress in your life by the end of it. I've thrown so much stuff in it to help people with anxiety and stress. There's loads of videos in it. There's loads of help stuff in it. There's loads of things to get you through it. But what I need, because I've created this course and it's only just launched, is I need some help beta testing it. So rather than the £997, I'm offering it to 10 people, only 10, at £97 for the 6-week course to get rid of your anxiety and stress. It gives you lifetime help. It gives you all sorts of stuff that you'll be able to take on in the future. So if any time you get into another stress situation in the future, more anxiety comes into your life, then you'll have all the tools you need to deal with anxiety and stress. And if you haven't already downloaded my freebie 20-minute meditation audio, then you just need to go to my website and download it on the anxiety and stress page. And you can download it for free. Had a lot of great feedback from it and the way it's turned people's lives around from just that alone. Okay, so you can imagine if I'm giving that away for free, how much you're going to get out of this 6-week course. It's absolutely phenomenal. I have been told I should put it out for £2,000 to people, but I thought under £1,000 was enough. And for 10 people, first 10 people who want to sign up, message me, PM me. You don't have to go public if you don't want to, but I can only do it for 10 people. And it's 97 quid for the 6 weeks. Simple as that, £900 off. Not that this is supposed to be of me selling things, but I want to help people. And if you think that I do a hypnotherapy session for a 2-hour session is 100 quid, and you've got more than that, way more than that in this 6-week course, it's absolutely phenomenal. But I do need people to beta test it for me. So the only thing I ask for anyone who signs up on it is that you put 100% into it, because you get in what you get out, and you get out what you get in, even whatever. And what I will ask at the end of it, if you've enjoyed the course, of course, is for a 30-40 second video testimonial that I can put up on the website, so people can see how good it is, and they're more likely to sign up. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of stress and anxiety going around in the world, and people need help. And I've found loads of tools, loads of solutions, loads of ways of helping people, because not one solution helps everyone. The audio is great. It does help a lot of people, but for some people, they can't meditate, for whatever reason. So this course has got absolutely something for everyone, guaranteed. Okay, so please do get in touch if you want to have a go on this course. Like I say, I can only open it for 10 people on that price. All right, so anyway, I can't see any questions, so please unmute yourself, people, because we're going to say goodbye. All right, so say goodbye to all those people on Facebook that are watching live. I can't see any more comments. People have been making comments and it's not refreshing itself. I don't know what it's doing, and it's not letting me look, which is a bit of a bummer. So I do apologize if you've asked questions. If there are questions on it that I can ask next time, then of course I will put it on live. I might even do just a short one just to answer your question. So please do look out. Now, something that Facebook does for you, if you go to the top of the Anxiety and Stress Warriors page, hit the 3 dots, you'll see that it's only going to show you highlights unless you select show all posts. Now, I don't post more than probably twice a day. Hey, hiya. I don't post more than twice a day, because I don't want to be bombarding you with loads of stuff all the time. I'd rather give you little bits here and there and then give you some really good quality like this. Now, I plan to do in about 3 weeks' time another live, and that's going to be about the 6 basic human needs. I have mentioned it a few times on lives and on pages and stuff like that. So that's going to be a real deep dive into that. That's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of people, because I know that because it was for me. And it's something that, if you've never heard of him, Tony Robbins, he is very passionate about the 6 human needs, and identifying those needs where we're lacking in, because that's when we usually self-destruct, trying to find a solution to a problem that we don't know we have. All right. So if we can identify our 6 human needs, identify the ones that we're not fulfilling, then we can identify a solution for it. So anyway, thank you for joining me. These people have joined me on Zoom. It's going to make it a little bit more interesting for those people looking on live online. And thank you for everyone who's joined me on Facebook. I do apologize that I can't read the comments for whatever reason. I've got 13 comments now. Maybe it's just people saying goodbye and get off. I don't know. They've had enough. It's Sunday night. Go away. Anyway, you take care. Have a great week. And if anyone's got any questions, drop me a line, drop me a message, and I'll do my best to answer it as soon as possible. Take care, folks. Bye.